What have you gotten out to that's gotten you very excited?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go to the beach volleyball venue, it's pretty iconic. I mean, you're sitting right there with the Eiffel Tower in the backdrop, and you just can't take your eyes off of it. It's just kind of moving in a way. And
it's
I think
also browner than I thought it would be.
It is quite brown.
I imagine it is like wrought iron, and I'm like, it's pretty brown.
Have you heard the story about the waiter that works at the top of the Eiffel Tower restaurant?
No. Is this real? Is this like a joke? Are you setting me up for something?
I think it's a little bit of urban legend, but they said, you come here every day. And he's like, yes, it's the only place in Paris that I don't have to look at the Eiffel Tower from. I take the opposite view. Anyway.
Welcome to the Sports Moment from the Washington Post, your ticket to the Summer Olympics. It is Thursday, August 1st. I'm Ava Wallace, a sports reporter here in Paris covering the games, and today I'm joined by post-sports columnist Barry Fuga. We're going to get into the coaching drama at the Paris Games this year, but first I wanted to give you guys an update on the medal table. So as of this morning, it's about 10 a.m. in Paris. Here is the latest gold medal count. China's in the lead with 9 gold medals. France and Japan are tied for second with 8, and Australia is in third with 7. The United States is a bit down the list with 5, but leads the overall medal count with 30 so far. And here's what you need to know from last night. 22-year-old Léon Marchand became the Prince of France when he conquered 2 very disparate strokes, the 200-meter butterfly and the 200-meter breaststroke. He won gold in both of those and set Olympic records in each race. No one had ever won both of those races at the same Olympics, and Marchand flexed on them and actually won a little less than 2 hours apart. So 2 races, one night. I was out eating and watching Marchand swim from a restaurant, and people were going absolutely nuts for this guy. It was so fun, and it's been really, really fun to watch him kind of take over these Paris Games. He's just 22. He's got this big, wide grin, and he seems absolutely thrilled by it all. Not at all shell-shocked or anything. He's totally ready for the moment. Elsewhere in the pool, Katie Ledecky dominated in her signature event, no surprise there. That's the women's 1,500-meter freestyle, and she won her 8th career gold medal and 12th Olympic medal overall. The U.S. women's soccer team also won 2-1 over Australia to go through to the quarterfinals. They'll play Japan there. And the defending champion Canadian women are also through to the quarterfinals after a little bit of controversy. If you haven't been following this, they were deducted 6 points for spying on opponents earlier in the group stage. They were punished for flying a drone over an opponent's training session. That led to this reveal of this wider spying scandal within the entire Canadian program. Head coach Bev Priestman was suspended for 1 year by FIFA, the international governing body, and they'll be back in the quarterfinals anyway. That should be some good drama. Okay, we'll take a quick pause here. After the break, I talk with post-sports columnist Barry Fuga about the latest drama playing out in Paris concerning coaches. Okay, so Barry, this is the first time we've had you on the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, Eva.
We're almost a week into the games, counting from the opening ceremonies, not counting from when we've been here, which has been approximately 18 months, it feels like. I am very happy you just wrote this story that you did from the pool this week, Barry, because I've been wanting to talk to you about coaches at the Olympics. When we talk about coaches, there are kind of a couple different types of coaches we see at the Olympics. I'm thinking of someone like Emma Hayes, who's taking over the U.S. women's soccer team, who is rebuilding a program and everything like that. It's very different in swimming, where you have a lot of coaches who work with individual athletes year-round, and then maybe they're going and coaching Team France or whatever like that. How does the coaching system work in the swimming pool, and why are they important?
Well, it's really interesting from a U.S. perspective because all the coaches on the staff.
How many are there?
There's a head coach for men, a head coach for women, and then X number of assistants.
Okay, so it's a big staff. It's not like one person.
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
Not at all. But first of all, they're almost all college swim coaches. The head coach of the American women is the UVA head coach.
Okay.
They won the national champion,
as they would say.
Exactly. The head coach on the men's side is Anthony Nesty. He's the coach at the University of Florida.
Gotcha.
And what happens is these NCAA swimming coaches recruit internationally. I'm telling you, they bring athletes from not just from Europe, but from Africa, from the Middle East. And it's very easy to recruit in swimming because unlike in basketball, you're kind of thinking, oh, can this guy defend or can this woman shoot? You're like, oh, they swam that in this event. You're recruitable. I will take you. So what happens is when you get to the Olympics, you have all of these former or current college swimmers that have been coached and kind of curated in the US swimming for their home countries. And that's not that big of a deal in most cases, but here are the numbers. There are 223 former NCAA swimmers at these Olympics.
Wow.
Only 46 of them represent the US.
Okay.
So that leaves 177 that are spread out over 83 other countries.
Wow.
And you get these situations, and the one that's going to be most prominent is Léon Marchand, the French star, who's an absolute sensation here and a total stud, sent an email to then Arizona State coach Bob Bowman, who was Michael Phelps's coach.
Right.
Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer who's ever done it.
Heard of him.
And said, would you coach me? Bowman in 2021 looked at his times and said, please come to Arizona State.
Wow.
Built him into a monster. Bowman is then the head coach at World Championships for Team USA last year, but he's in that capacity wearing red, white, and blue of the US, cheering on the French swimmer to beat his countrymen. USA Swimming was like, really?
Yeah.
So Bob Bowman is now an assistant on the French staff because they don't care as much about that, but Team USA did not want one of their coaches to support the biggest star of the game while he was wearing the red, white, and blue of the U.S.
So across sports, that's not so uncommon. I mean, I mentioned Emma Hayes, the coach of the U.S. women's soccer team. She's a Brit. You would have to go back to 2007, I think it was, to find the last American-born coach of that program who wasn't an interim coach. Like, you see it players all the time in tennis. Naomi Osaka was born in Japan, grew up in the U.S., played in the USTA system before deciding to represent Japan on the world stage. Like, it is common, but it's interesting that it raised to the level with Bob Bowman of being like, I think we should separate ourselves a little bit here.
There's an even spicier situation with Australia, which is a country
Isn't there always?
they do not send their swimmers to the U.S. to swim in college. They train their own. They're kind of their own. So much national pride with the Aussies. Oi, oi, oi. But they had one of their assistant coaches training a South Korean at his university in, I think it was in Queensland.
Okay.
He gets to the Olympics. He gives an interview with South Korean television
The
saying,
coach does.
and saying, hey, I think he can swim well. I'm really hoping he can win. The head coach of the Australian team said that was incredibly disappointing. We're thinking about sending him home. That's frankly un-Australian.
Whoa.
So they didn't send him home. But it didn't sit well. And they are going to, it sounds like the Australian team is going to draw up new rules that prevents those kind of relationships in the future.
I wanted to ask you, I guess, why the practice was so common among athletes to train and play for, a college in the U.S. or anything. You made it seem like it's the other way around. It's these coaches who are saying like, no, I want to get the best in the world here. And I don't care who they represent in the Olympics. Like, I'm trying to win an NCAA title. Is that right?
Right. Where you could come from Cleveland or Calais and like, it would be the same thing. I also think like in a good way, if we go back to that games wide open kind of slogan, like, who cares? Like, you're giving someone the best training and trying to get someone to maximize their potential. I think it's a little closed-minded to be like, okay, now that's terrible that you go swim for Ireland or France and are trying to beat us. Like, let's all give it our best shot.
Yeah, that's literally what the Olympics was about. But okay, is there anything else about the Léon Marchand, Bob Bowman relationship that you found in your reporting that surprised you? Anything? I mean, I was kind of surprised. Bob Bowman must get a lot of emails from a lot of swimmers saying, will you train me? And
well, Marchand's dad was a competitive swimmer who, leading into the 2004 Olympics, he was an older swimmer and he was trying to make one last push to the Olympics for France.
The Olympics in Athens for France.
Correct,
swimming for France.
Correct. And he got in the pool, and that day he got beat, killed, destroyed by an 18-year-old Michael Phelps, who was on his way to his second games and was going to win 6 medals in Athens. And that was, Phelps, who was coached by Bob Bowman. And that was kind of the swim that Marchand's dad became convinced.
He's like,
I can't do this anymore.
Time to hang up the goggles.
So when the email comes from Léon Marchand to Bob Bowman, he looks at it and was like, Marchand, I wonder if that's that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a full circle, a cool point there.
Okay, Barry, last thing before I want to let you go. I've been asking everybody this, but you've been to Olympics before, so you know how many weird interactions and observations and whatever do not ever make it into our reporting. What do you have for me?
So I do not want to have dinner with somebody and sit next to them.
Oh my God, I know. Okay. All right,
so
let's
here's
hear
the
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Along Paris sidewalks, everybody likes to eat outside at Paris. Most of the time until the last couple of days, it's been extremely pleasant.
And they're still out there.
And it's been hot the last couple of days, but they still sit outside. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I have a meal and I'm with a friend, I would like to be able to look at them and converse and not sit side saddle and look at the people walking by while we're both eating from plates that are in front of us. So I've made the bold, ugly American move to take these chairs and move it around to the other side, getting in the foot traffic a little bit and risking getting kicked.
And the French waiters love it, right?
Love it. Yeah.
And this is just a perfect difference between our columnists here. But Jerry was like, you're just sitting side by side in a Paris cafe watching the beautiful world go by. And I thank you for that nice contrast.
Perfect. Yeah. Yes. I'll be happy to eat with Jerry as long as we can look at each other.
Barry, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Eva.
Barry Fuga is a sports columnist for The Post. Okay, we've got one more segment for you that I'm really excited to share. So Adam Kilgore and Rick Mace, two sports writers who've been on this podcast before, have a very fun project that they've been working on about parents at the Olympics, who I have run into myself. I've run into some swim parents. I've certainly seen some parents at other events. There's skateboarding families that I got to talk to. They're certainly an intense bunch, as they should be, because the thing about these Summer Olympics is they're the first one since 2016 where family members have been able to come here and cheer on their Olympians.
I would like the parents to be a little louder in some of this. I brought my cowbell. Yeah, we have some horns, so I am probably one of the louder ones.
Laura Woodhead is the mother of water polo player Dylan Woodhead.
This was the first time when he walked up and we were like at the railing and we were like waving and he looked up and he waved.
Yeah. So, I mean, that must have been a great moment.
Yeah, it's like one of those moments that I'll always remember.
Mimi Hooper is the mother of another water polo player, Johnny Hooper.
It's an amazing feeling to actually be there because, for every family, the journey was long.
There's so many people that are part of this journey, like godmother, coaches. We have some high school friends here. I think what's so special is to be able to let them experience it, here with us.
Laura Woodhead remembered how weird it was watching her son on TV in Tokyo.
It was great to be home with everyone, grandparents and people who couldn't travel. But at one point, it kind of felt like a Netflix series where you're watching this movie. Like, I think he was there.
Last time, nobody was there for her.
Jim Husk, the father of swimmer Tori Husk, had to watch his daughter lose her race on TV in Tokyo.
I'll tell you, that look on her face in the last one was heartbreaking.
But this year, he was able to watch his daughter Tori win a gold medal, even though he was too far up in the stands to really see her face.
This is the exact opposite. It's the pinnacle because she's still crying, but it was different. This was for tears of joy. I'm glad we couldn't see her because we were so far away, because I would have lost it. And I lost it when I got home. I mean, I was crying a little. There's no way you can't. But when I got home and saw her emotions, it was like, oh my God, And so that was really nice. It was a great feeling to see redemption.
Those are my colleagues Adam Kilgore and Rick Mace talking with athlete parents, making me cry a little bit there. You can find a link to their story about what being in Paris has meant to parents in the show notes. Before we go, here are a couple of big events worth keeping an eye out for today. Just a note, all of these times are in Eastern time. So the women's gymnastics all-around final begins at 12:15 p.m., where you can watch Sunisa Lee and Simone Biles go for more gold. In swimming, medals will be awarded in a session beginning at 2:30 p.m., and that starts off with women's 200-meter fly. And in women's basketball, the U.S. team takes on Belgium at 3 p.m. in group play. That's it for today on The Sports Moment. If you want more up-to-date information about the latest news from Paris, you should also subscribe to my newsletter, which is also called The Sports Moment. You can find a link to that newsletter in our show notes. Today's episode was produced and mixed by Ted Muldoon. It was edited by Joe Tone. I'm Ava Wallace. Until next time from Paris.